There's a type of playing that I'm going to assert is one of the hardest things to do on drums. But that doesn't mean you can't start practicing it today, even if you're a beginner. In this lesson, I'll show you what I'm talking about, tell you why I think this is one of the hardest things to play on drums, and show you some of my favorite shortcuts to get this into your playing. Oh, hi. My name is Nate, and people call me the 80/20 drummer. So, what do we mean when we say something is hard to play on the drums? Recently, El Estepario Siberiano released this video, which he claimed was the hardest thing to play on drums.
You keep asking me what's the hardest song I can play. Trust me, it goes like this.
So one thing that makes a part hard to play is obviously fast double kick or fast singles. Another might be angular rhythms, like this drum part from Arthur Natick. It's not fast or technical, but try playing along with it and see how well you do. If we want to combine the two, we could take something like this drum part from Chris Turner. But what if I told you there's another category that might be just as hard? Suppose I played you this track from Kanye and asked you to improvise over the top of it. Could you? Today we're going to investigate a very particular subdivision that I believe is one of the hardest things to do well on drums. Doubled triplets. Want to find out why I think this is so hard and learn to play it? Stay tuned. And folks, today's video is brought to you by me, the 80/20 drummer. We're going to have a lot of little rhythm snippets, little rhythm cookies, if you will, that you're going to want to incorporate into your playing. And you might be tempted to transcribe them. I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do that. We've done it for you. It's free. And you can get it by clicking the link below the player and telling us where to send it on the next page. That's it. On with the lesson. Let's first talk about, well, what I'm talking about. I bet we're mostly familiar with sixteenths. Like, if I asked you to play a funk beat and improvise a fill in sixteenths, you'd at least know what that is. Likewise with triplets or sextuplets. You have your simple 4/4 beat, and you either play one triplet every quarter or every eighth if you're counting in halftime. So learn these subdivisions and you're good, right? Like, just send us out into the world now to be pros? But what if I told you there's another whole category of improvisation? And the reason we don't perceive it is we usually only think of a very narrow range of tempos. But take a hip-hop beat and slow it down. Now, say you want to play a fill over this. What do you play? This, my friends, is the realm of doubled triplets. Let's look at a few examples. This is Home at Last by Steely Dan with the legendary Bernard Purdie on drums. Another famous example is Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. Say you wanted to play a fill over this, faster than the triplet rate. So what do double triplets sound like in practice? One of my favorite recent examples is Nick Smith playing over the track The Rise. The song is in triplets, kind of like a slow Purdie shuffle.
Look at me.
At the end, Nick improvises this.
Look at me.
I'll play something similar, kind of a slow triplety shuffle. Now I'll improvise a fill. Note, this is the same rate of notes as if you just doubled the tempo and played triplets. But because of the feeling of the slow triplet, this feels different to play and sounds different. Now that we understand what a double triplet is, let's make the case that they're hard. And discuss why. You might be thinking, what's the big deal? I can just play some runs down the toms or some hurtas. Well, that's where this gets complex. Because are you really nailing those fills? Here I am playing improv in 16ths. and switching to triplets. I'm not just playing symmetrical licks down the toms. I'm hopefully making complex phrases across the bar line. But could you do that over this Kanye track? Let's talk about why not. My students come from various levels and walks of life, but many of them can hear phrases that cycle over the bar line. Just to give you an example, I'll clap a 7-note pattern as I count 1, 2, 3, 4 out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1. If I go over to the drums, I can do it over triplets while keeping the kick drum on quarters. Want an easier one? Just clap groups of 5 over the bar line in 16ths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. Now over triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1. Why am I harping on this? Because our ability to keep these rhythms in our heads is indicative of something else. We can commit to long phrases because we know even if they cross the bar line and sound turned around, our instincts will help us land on our feet, as long as we're in a familiar rhythmic environment. But doubled triplets change the feeling just enough that all that long chain improvisation, all those modular ideas go out the window. And we're stuck with very short, very basic ideas because we've lost that ability to know which way is up if something crosses the bar line. Which is why, to distill even further, here's my conspiracy theory about why. Most music is in 4/4, and it's in a pretty narrow tempo range. In fact, let's just ask ChatGPT. What range of tempos are most pop songs between?
Most pop songs fall within a tempo range of about 100 to 130 beats per minute.
Most pop songs fall between a tempo range of about 100 to 130 beats per minute. But doubled triplets occur above and below that narrow tempo range, which is why we rarely encounter them, which is why we're mostly at them. Which is why they're so hard. But let's just pause for a second. Do you believe me now that they're hard? I'm not just pulling these titles out of thin air, you guys. Okay, but what can we do about it? The first step at getting control of doubled triplets is building a lexicon of symmetrical licks and then throwing in some asymmetric ones. Let's start with some Steve Gadd boilerplate. In these examples, I'll try to keep my hats on quarters so you can always hear where the beat is. If you're practicing these in real life, that's not necessary at first, as long as you've got a metronome in your ears. Now, I'll give you lick 2, which is also symmetrical, but it's 4 beats long, so it'll cycle twice within a slow bar. Now, we're going to make what I call a switching exercise between the two. If we imagine each lick as a Scrabble letter, imagine you can make a chain of letters in any order you want. The only requirement is you maintain the integrity of each component lick. You can also orchestrate and use dynamics. It's okay if the stage takes weeks, or if you just decide to pause here and work with these symmetrical licks for a long time. But let's give you a preview of some of the chaos. This is lick 3, which is a 5-note group. First, we're going to learn it on its own. Then we're going to practice switching between it and the first lick we learned, the Steve Gadd lick. This is how we'll gradually assemble a lexicon of longer chain vocabulary over doubled triplets. Gradually, you'll be able to just start exploring. Here I am just experimenting with some shapes. When I find one I like, I'll practice joining it up with licks I already know, like a jigsaw puzzle. If you're interested in a video that goes deeper into my theory on learning licks without just memorizing and regurgitating them, check out this video here. Eventually, I'd practice playing a couple bars of a slow shuffle and improvising for a couple of bars. You can also practice switching to 16ths. But what happens if you see a lick you dig, like Nick Smith here? Or the drummers in this shot. It's the same process I described before. Just take a piece of the lick, play with it until it's familiar, in different orchestrations and rhythmic contexts. Then try to join it up with your existing vocabulary. Eventually, when you practice improvising, it'll come out without you having to think.
And that's how you get the gig.
And folks, hope you enjoyed that one. Quick reminder that if you'd like a free transcription of everything in this lesson, you have but to click below the player and tell us where to send it on the next page. Dudes, it's been real, always enjoy these. See you again real soon in another Lesson of the Week.